almost looks as if today, with the hike in price, primarily is if because I use public transport as well. Primarily is like the cheapest right now. How is that possible? How that's
Like I told you, we do not use PMS. So, and our prices don't change like that. And that is, look, any public transportation system, there are three components of it. One is affordability, efficiency, and safety. Okay? And it goes to what I've been saying for over 7 years. If you don't make your public transportation affordable, then it's no longer public transportation. So you have to make it affordable, and the affordability part of it is what you just said now. Everybody is jacking up their pricing, but the organized public transport sector cannot just be increasing their pricing willy-nilly, just like everybody else. And that's where the government has to come in, and that's where I keep saying we need to sit down and come up with a business model that works for the government, the operators, and the masses.
early months. The president just also emerged as the chairman of ECOWAS. My question there is, what message in such an ascension will pass across to Africa and the rest of the world in terms of the new Nigerian government and leadership?
Look, like the president said, Nigeria is back. We're back on the international stage. We're back in West Africa. We're back in Africa. Nigeria is back. We've been missing in action, but this administration is determined to bring Nigeria back to the center of Africa and West Africa, which is where we used to be. I remember in the 70s, you may not, in the 70s, during the apartheid regime in South Africa, Nigeria became a frontline state. Even though we're not, near the South Africa, it became a frontline state because Nigeria policy was Afrocentric. And that is what this administration is bringing back. So, like the president said, Nigeria is back. We need to do something to protect the Naira because the increase coming through now is because of Naira devaluation. And as long as Naira keeps losing its value, the price of gas, or petroleum, and even food items will keep going up. So we have to find a way to defend the Naira, to stabilize the Naira and make it stronger. Because without it, it will keep on creating hardship in Nigeria, for Nigerians and Nigeria. But I know he has a very good economic team around him. Once the ministers are in place and everybody settles down, Nigerians will see a good government and governance.
Okay. Manner at which the oil sector is being run today in Nigeria, playing a role in bringing down the economy in terms of how we value the Naira.
Look, anywhere in the world, the number one product must support your currency. And until we find a way for the oil and gas to support Naira, we will be having issues. And I believe, with what Russia did last year when they started collecting their gas money in rubles, we have to do something like that for Naira. I'm not saying you have to collect 100% of your money in Naira, but collect 25, 30% of it in Naira. Because the problem of Naira is that we import almost everything in Nigeria, and the only thing we are exporting is oil, and the oil, it's been, we're collecting dollars for, so there's nothing to support the Naira. So we need to find a way to support the Naira and make the Naira stronger, at least to stabilize it and make it stronger. And to me, it's think the solution may be to do an hybrid of what the Russians did. They start collecting some of our money, from the IOCs and all the people buying our oil and gas in Naira. We collect some in dollars, we collect it, we can work out the percentages that we're going to collect, in Naira and, in dollars. But the point is you can still price your product in dollars, but collect part of it in Naira so that so that the IOCs and everybody buying Nigeria oil and gas would now have to be looking for Naira to pay for the products. And that will support Naira. We have to think outside the box. We need to, at this junction, we need to think outside the box. If the Russians didn't think outside the box, ruble would have been crushed last year to, it would have been worse than toilet paper. But because they came up with a solution, ruble is actually stronger now than when the war in Ukraine started. That is not saying anything about whether the war they started is right or wrong. But the principle behind it is they found a way to support their currency. We have to also find a way to support the Naira. Without that, we just keep on making our people poorer and poorer and poorer. Look, in economics, you depreciate or make your currency cheap if you're a big exporter, so that the products that you are exporting is cheaper. But we are not exporting anything. We are an import-dependent economy. Almost everything we use in Nigeria is imported. So every time Naira loses value, our people becomes poorer and poorer and poorer. So we need to find a way to defend the Naira. And the only solution that I can think of is to make sure that our number one product supports the currency. And that's by collecting part of the money in Naira.
And still on the same goal of contention, we are looking at the removal of fuel subsidy. As a stakeholder in the transportation sector, how can you describe the impact so far the removal of fuel subsidy has been in the transportation sector?
The irony is the removal of subsidy on PMS has not affected us that much, because our number one product is diesel, which has been deregulated a long time ago. All the big buses, vehicles, and all that, they use diesel and gas, so which has been deregulated a long time ago. So this particular one may affect the Okadas, may affect the Danfos and all that, but does not affect us that much because we are not using PMS.
Okay, let's look at the brighter side. With the current trajectory of this new government that we now have in Nigeria, do you think the transportation sector will eventually be stabilized in terms of effective service delivery?
It will be. And why part of why I'm happy is that I know the federal government is trying to get some buses to ameliorate the effect of subsidy removal. So when those buses come on stream, it will actually help a lot. Look, we need to get our public transportation system right so that we reduce the number of people on. I've been saying it for years. You cannot build enough roads to make sure to contain everybody. So the key is to get our public transport system right, and to get it right, especially somewhere in Lagos, requires both train, bus, and ferries. And if you're going to do that, whether we like it or not, there must be an element of subsidy involved. I spoke about it at length at the last interview session that you did. So anybody that wants to can go and listen to that. So I'm not going to belabor you, but we have to come up with a sustainable business plan so that 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, the public transportation system still runs effectively, efficiently. And there's no way we can do that without an element of subsidy involved. That's what is done all over the world. And the rest of the world cannot be wrong. And we are the only one that is right.
want to advise Nigeria, because I think the new government is just about settling down to keep the ball rolling. For those Nigerians who are not seeing themselves being patient enough to really see what this government can do to take this economy to the next level, what would be your advice to Nigerians at this point?
Be patient. Be patient. We didn't get to where we are today overnight, and we're not going to get out of the rut overnight. It's going to take time. It's going to take some pain, but the long-term trajectory is good for everybody. And look, the business community all over the world is excited about Nigeria for the first time in a long, long time. The stock market is doing well because they can see the writing on the wall. So be patient. Give this government a chance to settle down. Give this government an opportunity for them to show what they can do. And I'm telling you, I've said it in the last interview, and I'm saying it again, this government is going to surprise lots of people because their policies are business friendly. Look, the government does not create jobs. The government should not be in the business of creating jobs. The government's role is to create the enabling environment for people, for businesses to invest. And part of the problem we're having is that lots of companies decide not to invest in Nigeria, in the last few years. But they are now excited, and as long as they're bringing money to invest in Nigeria, they will create jobs, they will create opportunities, and it will help the economic growth. So my advice to everybody is be patient.
Thank you very much, sir. I think this is where we have to call it a day, and we also want to thank you once again for accepting us and bringing us back, having you here in-house. I only look forward to more exciting sections with you in the near future, sir.
You're welcome.